Okay, hello everyone and welcome to this tutorial using Microsoft Excel to create a spreadsheet. This whole series of tutorials will be covering the skills that are needed in order to achieve full marks in the modelling section of the Unit 2 control test for the WJEC ICT GCSE qualification. A lot of letters going on there. So, in this first tutorial we'll be looking at basically what you need to do in order to achieve full marks in this section, which is the modelling section, as I said. So in the later tutorials we will be looking at some of the basic skills needed to create your spreadsheet, and also some of the more advanced skills that you may not have used before when you were in Key Stage 3, so Year 7 to Year 9. But anyway, let's get started. So the first thing you would need to do, if I just go back to my desktop there, a very messy desktop, is I would say you need to go to, first of all, Microsoft Excel 2007, but in your case, if you're doing it in school, it will be 2010. But just open up Microsoft Excel and that should be fine. So when it loads up, this is essentially a workbook. So this is your Microsoft Excel workbook. And what's important to know about the workbook is you need to think of it specifically like a book. Okay, and inside that book are different pages which you can create separate spreadsheets on, okay, on these tabs at the bottom. But first of all, then, we're just going to start off from the very basics. So the most important thing you should do really when you start is save your document. Okay, so we're going to go to Save As, and I go to File, Save As, and I'm going to locate my folder structure, which you should have set up already. So I'm going to go into my ICT folder, and I've got a control test folder inside there as a subfolder, and then I've got my 4 folders here for all of the projects that make up the Unit 2 control test assignment. So I'm going to go into my spreadsheet folder, which I've already made, and the important thing about this is that we are going to be using macros at some point. And I'll go into more detail about what macros are, but all you really need to know for the time being is that we need to save it as, save as type, Excel macro enabled workbook. And once I've selected that, you can see that it's made my choice, and I'm going to change the file name to Rogerstone FC. And then I'm going to save it. So now I know, due to my lovely folder structures and appropriate file names, every time now I can find my work easily, and I don't have to waste time being less productive. So I've got my workbook open and I've got it saved, and now we're going to have a look what you need to do in order to make your spreadsheet. And these are the task sheet assignments that you downloaded from the WJEC. And I'm going to have a look first at what the actual task is. So I'm just going to zoom in on that a second. And if we look here under the modelling section, everything here is what we need to do. So with 14 marks, now we need to create a spreadsheet that will enable the organisers to store details of sponsorship from organisations, store details of money raised through the various fundraising events, and store details of the money spent in organising the charity event. So what we're looking at there is a little profit loss model, and also keeping details of people or organisations that have put money into the event, and how much at the same time it's costing us to put things on, such as a band or maybe food, things like that. Now, obviously I can't show you this example because you need to do that for yourself under controlled test conditions. But I can show you a similar spreadsheet in the Rogerstone FC example. Now, I need to calculate the total sponsorship received, but I'm going to change this scenario to the amount of goals that the team scored in a season. I'm going to identify the largest financial sponsor, which is what you would need to do, but I'm going to change that to finding or identifying the largest goal scorer. I don't mean size or weight, I mean the person who scored the most goals, and then who will be given free tickets. But I'm going to change that scenario to the person who scored the most goals will be Player of the Year, okay, or be given an additional bonus. Now, calculate the total money raised, obviously different scenario, so I'm just going to calculate the total amount of goals that the whole team scored. So all the goals every player scored, we'll put them together and find the overall total. Then calculate the maximum and minimum amounts. Okay, and what I'm going to do in this one again is I'm going to find the person who scored the most goals and the person who scored the least goals. Okay, and then this here is essentially using things like formulas, functions, data validations, macros to make it easier for the person who is using the spreadsheet to enter information, to delete information, to find out information and present it in a much more presentable way, I suppose. So forget about this bit here, and these tutorials will be covering this section, and I will be identifying, remember you've got all of this here, you've got this on your work area because you downloaded it from the WJEC, and as we go through, I will be showing you where each skill that I've used picks up a mark in each of these sections. So, for example, if I show you how to format a cell to show currency, percentage, and change the amount of decimal places, then I will show you on the grid where you get the mark. So that's just to kind of sum up what this series of tutorials will be all about. And obviously if you need some help in one area more than others, you can just go straight to that particular video, and that's no problem at all. So hopefully this will help you now identify all the things you need to do to get these full 16 marks.